Started right on time. And welcome to all of you, and thank you for coming out on this cold and windy winter's night. We are delighted to have you here this evening, and I think we're just going to do a quick round to introduce ourselves to each other. We have new faces, and which is absolutely wonderful. I'm Molly Lambert. I am not chair of the Swanton Enhancement Project, but I get to chair tonight's meeting. So I'm very excited about that. I'm so happy to welcome you all.
I'm Joel Clark. I am the treasurer for the Swanton Enhancement Project, and glad to see you showing here today.
I'm Linda Wirtz. I live in the village, and I'm here for the first time and delighted to be here. Thank you.
I'm Sandy Kenyon. I'm here as a guest of Linda Wirtz. I actually live in St. Albans. I used to live in Swanton.
I'm Hank Lambert, married to Molly Lambert, the chair, the acting chair, and I'm on the beautification committee of the SEP.
I'm Chris Dodge. I'm the principal at the Swanton Elementary School.
I'm Christina Candles. I'm the assistant town administrator, and I am here to do your minutes.
And I'm Brian Savage. I am the town administrator.
Good evening, Bill Sheets, the village manager.
Good evening, Susie Kelleher. I wear many hats, but I'm here for the beautification committee tonight.
P.J. Benoit, first time here with Darcy.
Darcy Benoit, Bees on Broadway, and I have a couple committees that I sit on as well.
Jeanette Young, born and raised in Highgate, and lived the rest of my life here in Swanton. And this is my first time.
Sandy DuBois, beautification committee for I don't know how many years. Not sure.
Jill Walsh from the village.
I'm Dick Russo. I represent the Historical Society, and Jason's here as our president, and I'm also on the Swanton Chamber of Commerce.
Right. Behind us, we have Northwest Access recording our meetings, and behind Darcy and her favorite supporter, we have
Marie Spear. I'm a member of the Arts Council.
Neil Spear. I'm a member of most anything they ask me to be.
Well, thank you all again.
Beautification needs some bodies, Neil.
Yes, yes.
Thank you all again for being here. And I just wanted to point out before we get into the meat of the meeting and Jason's presentation and the highlight of Bees on Broadway, that it was 10 years and 50 weeks ago, 9 years and 50 weeks ago, that the Vermont Council on Rural Development came and visited with 250 members of the Swanton community. We had a huge potluck dinner. We had many meetings preparing for this meeting, and as a result, many in the community followed up on that meeting and talked about things like, let's form an arts council. Let's do something beautiful. Let's put flowers on the bridge. Let's figure out how people can walk around this downtown traffic, whatever. Let's look at our outdoor recreation assets. Let's look at more visionary aspects. Let's highlight what we all really love about this community. So here we are, 10 years later. A lot of the activity or a lot of the vision that is occurring this very day. Bees on Broadway is an indirect result, perhaps, because the Winters got very interested in doing the development of their property downtown. And at any rate, with the help of the select board and the village trustees and all of the people that participated in the beginnings of the Swanton Enhancement Project, have led to a lot of wonderful things happening in our community, and you'll hear a lot of them highlighted tonight. And so that's it. But the first item on our agenda, the official, is to review the minutes of our last meeting, which was in September. Those of you on the steering committee received a copy of those minutes, and maybe you've had a chance to review them. If you have, if somebody could make a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Thank you, Susie.
I'll second.
And there's a second. Is there any discussion or amendments to the minutes as presented?
They looked great.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, okay. And then a very important part of these meetings is the finance update. When we started Swanton Enhancement Project, it was really in 2013. It took us 2 years to get to the VCRD visit. We had zero in our bank account. We didn't have a bank account. So I'm very happy to refer this discussion to our very able treasurer, Joel Clark.
1 and 1 is 4, right?
Yeah, 1 and 1 is 4.
And I didn't make tons of copies, but if someone wants to see what I'm talking about, I'll just leave a couple on the table. So we have 2 different areas that we keep track of. One is unrestricted funds, and then we have an area we call restricted funds. Unrestricted funds, we have a balance of $11,867.79. There's one check that has been written since 30 November, but I usually get the bank statements about the 10th of the month that follows, so I have not received the recent statement for December, but I've only written the one check. So you can take $80 off that balance. The restricted balance, $11,164.29. $3,800 of that is committed to the LVRT Trailhead Project. That's matching funds that we get, and we committed that money a while ago. Just real quick, we are gonna go out to bid here in a couple of weeks, with a bid opening in February. So hopefully we'll get bidders this time, and that project will start as soon as the frost comes out of the ground. Balance by category, bikes and signs, is $88.95 left for bikes and signs. That was a grant we got when you take the $3,800 out. Capacity building, we have $1,477.25. Substance misuse, we have $1,625.61. Beautification, $3,357.48. And that's bumped up by the $2,000 that I took out when I redid the CD. So I did drop $2,000 out of the CD, put it in for this coming year's, well, actually this year, now we're in 2025. Work. Marble Mill, we were given some money to do improvements to Marble Mill, $815. I think it came from the chamber. So far, none of that has been spent. And then in the CD that we have is $16,482.84. And that is money that is committed to the beautification. So the balance that I said in restricted did not include the CD, but it's listed right there on a piece of paper. Each year we take $2,000 out of that as seed money for beautification for the year, and then other fundraising takes place to increase that amount. I gave Susie and Hank a rundown of all the expenses from the beautification committee, and they spent thousands of dollars in plantings and trees, and then in the upkeep of the water and et cetera. They really did a super job raising money and then spending it, making this place look a lot better. But that's the financial report. I don't know if there's any questions, be glad to answer anything. We are underneath that 50,000 threshold we talked about in September, so that makes it a little easier when we send our report into the IRS. Yeah.
Question? Anyone? I don't think we need to take a motion to approve these, or do we usually?
I don't think we need to.
Okay, all right. Everybody else up with that? Great. So the next item on our agenda, and we intend to do this at every subsequent meeting, is have a guest speaker that offers information to the community that maybe you don't know about something that's happening in Swanton that is pretty spectacular. And tonight, falling right into that category, we have Jason Barney with us from the Swanton Historical Society, who I understand was interviewed on Vermont Public Radio about his new book yesterday. So thank you, Jason. It's all you, unless you want to introduce him.
Did you want to say something about St. John's first? Or?
At any time, whenever the appropriate moment is.
Go ahead.
It's now.
Yeah.
So, I'm Linda Wirtz. I do go to this church, and we have another church that we have a relationship with, and that's St. John's in Highgate. You may know it. It's a red brick church built 200 years ago by the Allen family. And we're about the 200th year to celebrate in another 4 years. So, I'm going to read this. The desire is for this church to make a positive vote next week on doing more relationship building with St. John's. And so I'm reading this a week ahead of time, but here we go. St. John's is getting back on its feet. The most pressing threat to the building, a failing roof, has been resolved. Programming has been resumed. The church's bicentennial celebration is coming in 2029. Deferred maintenance during COVID lockdown left St. John's roof a fail. When repairs began, the workers discovered rotting in certain rafters. The Vestry of Holy Trinity voted to use what remained of St. John's endowments to complete the project of nearly $100,000. And that was our entire amount of money in the bank was $100,000, and it all went on that roof. The new standing seam roof is in place and will last another 50+ years. Once the building was dry, a mold test was performed. The building passed as acceptable for safe use. To make the building as safe as possible, the vestry voted to hire a professional mold remediation company. This work, scheduled April 1st, 2025, will include scraping away peeling paint. Estimates have been received to repair and paint the ceiling after remediation. Once this is done, indoor programming will resume. The Franklin County Citizens Band performed on the lawn last summer, drawing a crowd of 90 persons. Band members report that it is their favorite performance venue. This event served as the pilot for a fundraising model which combines a concert sponsored by Eric Kenyon and will free will donations for concessions provided by volunteers and local businesses, Fiddler on the Green. The event raised $900 at one performance. Programming for summer 2025 is in the works with concerts, weddings, church services, and presentations on local history. This work reflects collaboration with the local partners MVU BFA, Middle School of Franklin, McGill University, and Highgate Manor, Highgate Historical Center, and the Vermont Youth Orchestra Association. The next steps. The vestry charged the St. John's Commission to develop a 4-year plan for using St. John's to deepen the ministry of Holy Trinity and the broader community. With the most pressing repairs completed, the roof, or in the works, mold remediation and painting, remaining work will be spread out over the next 3 years. The bulk of this involvement, the church windows, whose wooden portions must be scraped and repainted every 50 years or so. The vestry approved this forward to sharing the joy of St. John's with the community as we approach our bicentennial celebration. Watch the St. John's Facebook page for upcoming events. We have 12 windows that need to be repaired, and each window will be $5,000 to repair. So that's $60,000. So we start from nothing and once more deeper into somewhere to $60,000 to repair these beautiful roofs, windows. So if any of you know St. John's and Highgate, you know the beauty that it is, and it is our joy to renew it and bring it back to life. If you have questions, go forward.
Okay, Jason.
So I want to thank Joel for the opportunity to present. I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to present as well. I teach at NVU. I've been teaching at NVU for 23 years. I graduated there in 1993, and I can confidently say that I love my job. It's fulfilling, it's fun, it's awesome hanging out with your teenagers, and hopefully I'll be able to do it until my career ends, and I'll continue writing books and giving presentations like this. I think it's fair to give you guys a health update. Some of you know, almost a year ago I was diagnosed with colon cancer. It was not fun. It was stage 3C, so my best friend is a doctor down in Virginia. He offered to take care of me and set me up with a surgeon fairly quickly. It was difficult getting into a surgeon at the end of the COVID because we had a COVID outbreak about a year ago. So I went through 6 months of chemotherapy. I feel good. My weight is back. I had 165 sick days saved at MVU, and I still have 91 saved. And my goal is to not use any more. I'd like to get back to 165, but hopefully I'm teaching long enough for that to happen. So I feel good, and I'm glad to be back at school. I do want to say, and this is kind of funny, I mean, I'm sure all of you have had family members who have gone through cancer or chemo. For me, I couldn't sit still, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do in the classroom. So during chemo, while I was having all those awful drugs pumped into me, I started working on lesson plans. And one of the things that I was researching was Swanton's history, and I had never really done a lot of stuff on abolition and the Underground Railroad. And one of the books that I was reading had mentioned that the house next door, the house across the street, I think over by Don Collins, may have actually been an Underground Railroad spot. I think a lot of us hear that there are some buildings in St. Albans, or that the Highgate Manor was associated with the Underground Railroad, escaped slaves coming north. But this is how I spent my cancer recovery time, is working on lesson plans. So I guess I'll start off with something that is big. If you haven't heard about this already, there's going to be some significant press about this. Have any of you been to the Lake Champlain Maritime Museum down in Virgins? So the Maritime Museum has a replica of a Revolutionary War gunboat called the Philadelphia. This is the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. So if you think of the Founding Fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, if you think of that notorious traitor, Benedict Arnold, this is the 250th anniversary of that conflict. And I wanted to start off tonight by letting you know that our home area actually has a very intimate relationship with the American Revolution. Real quick, any history buffs? Can anybody think of any battles during the American Revolution? What were some of the big battles of the American Revolution? Anyone?
Battle of Saratoga.
Battle of Saratoga, that's one of the biggest.
Yorktown.
Yorktown, any others? Plattsburgh is the War of 1812.
Valcour Island. Battle of Valcour Island.
Battle of Valcour Island.
Bennington.
Battle of Bennington. Anybody know the first battle of the Revolutionary War?
Lexington and Concord.
Lexington and Concord. Right.
Great-grandfather.
Also the Battle of Hubbardton.
Oh, yeah, Hubbardton.
You can tell he's one of my students. He was
I was just gonna say, wait a minute, there's this plant here.
So the first name of Swanton was not Swanton. If you go through the history, New Hampshire and New York are both competing for the Green Mountains. The first name that Swanton has on any map is actually not Plattsburgh, but Prattsburg. And the folks coming up from New Hampshire, they were settling in the area of Bennington and Brattleboro and the towns to the south. New York had its grubby hands on our home area. And the first guy who's here in Swanton or Prattsburgh is a guy by the name of Simon Metcalf. He's a land realtor. His sawmill is basically down past Scampers where the bridge is now, down by Marble Mill. And that sawmill was probably built somewhere in the range of 1769, maybe 1770. But Metcalf is here in Swanton for a good amount of time. And as a map maker, he actually drew the map on the left in 1772. The image on the right is the Missisquoi River today, Google Maps. So you can see how well this guy in 1772, how successful he was as a map maker. He's got the bend of the Missisquoi River almost 100% correct. And his sawmill would be in this area here, and that's basically where the bridge is over there. So war is something that tests people's loyalties. Metcalf probably didn't support the revolution. He was more interested in making money. So Swanton has a really intimate history with the American Revolution. We think of Saratoga and the Battle of Bennington and all of these far off places, but this is the artwork that one of the MBU teachers did for one of my books. Nobody knows exactly what Metcalf sawmill looked like, but this is probably what a sawmill in the late 1700s looked like. There was actually one there before that was burned during the French and Indian War, but Metcalf sawmill was built in that location. So Armin Messier of Northern Vermont Aerial Photography, he's also done some of the images of the books, for the books. And this is a beautiful image of the Missisquoi River. You can see the dam and the bridge. I try to show my students a lot of these images in the classroom. So Metcalf sawmill, nobody knows the exact location, but it's probably right in the area where the bridge connects to the area by Marble Mill today. We probably wouldn't be able to do any archaeology to find any of the remnants of that sawmill because there's been so much construction in that area over the years. A lot of that evidence has probably been destroyed. So something else that I wanted to point out, I've gotten into naval history and boat history. Nick mentioned that.
Ship, not boat, that's a ship.
Yeah, sorry, ship. As far as the naval history of the lake goes, the first, Lake Champlain has the first navy. And as much as Benedict Arnold is remembered as a trader, it's Benedict Arnold, and probably Benedict Arnold alone, who was responsible for building that American Navy on Lake Champlain. This ship was actually owned by a loyalist, Philip Skene, down in Skenesboro, New York. And Benedict Arnold, after Fort Ticonderoga was taken, actually steals this boat. And he renames it, and it becomes the part of the American fleet. I haven't been able to track all of this boat's movements, but chances are this boat was off the coast of Guam in 1775, about 250 years ago. Lexington and Concord. Right after Lexington and Concord, Benedict Arnold is up here. This is a picture of Fort Ticonderoga. In our area, Fort Ticonderoga is the one location that gets all of the Revolutionary War attention. Well, when Arnold takes that boat ship north, he had just barely left Fort Ticonderoga, and he's up here in Swanton, and he's going to go up the Richelieu River and steal another boat just north of us. When you get into some of the primary documents, there are a couple of American colonial soldiers who are sent north to spy on the British, and when they spy on the British, they're probably taking canoes up Lake Champlain, and they're in the area of St. John, southeast of Montreal. The guy's name is Bays Wells, and in his journal he specifically mentions that they did spy on St. John's, but then they came south, just north of Plattsburgh at the time, and they do make contact with the Missisquoi River. And it's neat to be able to share this stuff with students and have them read through the journal, because then they can sort of map this stuff out too. He takes a canoe right on the Missisquoi River here, and then he meets with Simon Metcalf, and he's talking about the fact that the American Army is going to be coming up and invading Canada. But it's just neat that there was a spy mission that went right through our hometown. I do try to use as many maps as possible in the classroom. This kind of shows a pretty good view. The gray up on the top left would be Montreal. The gray in the center of the Richelieu River there would be St. John. This would be Missisquoi Bay on the right-hand side. And this is the Richelieu River, and Fort Blunter would be over here. So Bay's Wells spy mission is over in this neck of the woods. And he actually survives the war. He gets smallpox later on, but he's somebody who we know quite a bit about. There was also at least one full military unit that marched through Swanton. There was not any major road at the time. This is an entire company of soldiers. They actually leave the area of Greensboro and the eastern part of the state, and they march through the mountains in February of 1776. And they also meet with Simon Metcalf. And this is a good winter scene drawn by the MVU art teachers, showing them probably arriving through the woods to meet with Simon Metcalf. Is the artwork good enough for anybody to recognize the main character who's standing up, almost kind of saluting the center of the foot? Benjamin Franklin? This is supposed to be Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was on Lake Champlain. He's off the coast of Swanton and Isle of Mont in 1776. And he's also checking on the progress of the American Army up here. So hopefully I'm communicating that we do have a pretty neat history connection with the American Revolution. So that sawmill gets burned. The sawmill probably is not burned by the British, but the sawmill is burned by the Americans. The invasion that I mentioned earlier was a failure, and they knew the British were coming south from Canada, Quebec, and they didn't want the sawmill to be something that the British could use. So a retreating army will often burn what it can't use. They don't want to leave anything behind that the enemy might be able to take. So Metcalf sawmill, again, right down by Scampers, probably was burned by the Americans in 1776. Some other local history connections that I wanted to very quickly show you guys. If you've done any local history, if you've read the Swanton history book, there's quite a few references to the Keys family, S.W. Keys and S.S. Keys. They were the individuals who probably built the original Riviera Hotel. They're the individuals who probably built the building that becomes the Highgate Manor. And they're also probably the individuals who build the hotel that becomes the Tyler Place up in Highgate. So the Keys family has popped up quite a bit in the research, not dealing with the Revolutionary War, but moving a little bit further on into Swanton's history. So the Riviera Hotel was taken down, I think it's been 3 years now. Has it been 2 or 3 years? 2 years. This is what the Riviera used to look like. We lost that building. Thanks to Bill, thanks to Neil for letting some MBU students go into that building. As a local history teacher at MVU, I can tell you it brought a lot of joy to have not an entire class go, but with special permission to have some students go before it was demolished, but then they were so into it that they asked for permission to skip school. Mom and Dad said yes. And they actually helped document some of the history of that building being taken down. So something else that I'm doing with my students right now, and this is kind of a nerd mode thing, but I was asked to talk about Swanton's history, and I don't want to go into too much depth, but I want to let you know some of the stuff that I'm focusing in on. So in the Swanton history book, there's actually quite a bit of detail that Swanton had a shipbuilding facility. It actually had a shipbuilding area right here on the Missisquoi River. So if Scampers and Merchants Row are right here, this is the bridge, this is the dam. The properties that are mentioned for the shipbuilding are on the west side of the Missisquoi River. And it was pretty significant. The historical references show that there were at least 7 boats that were built in Swanton. And these boats are pretty large. They're about 76 feet, which is enormous. 76 feet is bigger than some of the warships that were used during the Revolutionary War. And again, using that photo, the ships are probably built in this area here. I will say, and I wanted to bring the model because I'm so proud of it, Scott Legassi, he's a gym teacher at MVU. He actually completed a model that some of my students weren't able to do. And it's a beautiful representation of what those ships from the 19th century actually look like. And when the Historical Society gets settled, I'd love to have a display with some of that shipbuilding technology. Just another note, if you've been to the Maritime Museum or if you've been to their website, the Maritime Museum actually does a very good job showing images online of shipwrecks. You can actually take a look at where shipwrecks are in Burlington Bay or in Shelburne Bay. We also have our own shipwreck history up here. This is one account from the Swanton Courier in 1898. A group of captains found what they thought was the W.H. Blake. It's one of those schooners that was built right here in Swanton, just north of the Tyler place. And I would love to have my students investigate that and see if there's any remnant of that ship. If you're not into that type of vessel, steamships. Apparently the steamship Montreal actually burned right here in Maquon Bay. And I think most of the hulk of that vessel was taken away, but I could almost guarantee you that there's something left in the water off from where the old pier used to be. That I'd have to word that permission slip a little interesting in order for, for parents to sign off on it, that sort of stuff. And just to give you an update on some of the things that MVU students are doing. So this is the Civil War monument that's here at the park. It's not in the public eye that much right now, but it does need to be repaired. It is, I don't want to say it's crumbling, but there are cracks. And if it's going to be serviced, a professional stone worker would probably have to be brought in to do it. I don't want to assign a price tag to it, but it is something that I talk about in class. And if the public still wants that monument to be beautiful and something that we can all appreciate, at some point in time, it is going to need some work. The Historical Society just spent about $20,000 rebuilding or working on the old toll house from the Missisquoi Bay Bridge. It is a unique building. Our board very quickly decided to bite the bullet and spend the money to repair something that is absolutely unique. Something else that's going to need some repairs in the future is the caboose that the Winters family donated to the Historical Society. It's in serviceable shape right now, but the closer you get, the more damage you see to it. I do take my students to these 2 locations, and at least with the caboose, try to avoid them climbing on the top. So I don't want to get too much into this, but the Historical Society is probably going to benefit very much from the generosity of a local individual here in Swanton who is helping us out with this building. And hopefully in the future, this is a place that the Historical Society will be able to call home. Ships, boats, I just want to mention, if you go through the Swanton Historical Society photo archive, we have a pretty good collection of different things, different buildings, but I've really gotten into this steam yacht history. These boats apparently sailed up and down the Missisquoi River all of the time, and they would have gone back and forth from what was the Hotel Maquon down in Maquon Bay, up to the Tyler place, over to some of the hotels that were in Albrook Springs. So it's a neat history. And I did find one reference that one of these actually burned up by the Tyler place by Bandstand Island. Students have visited this building, and Wally from the church does a great job talking to the students They even get to ring the bell, which for the students is a kind of a treat. We do go down, we didn't do it this year, we go down Monument Road, and there are a couple of lessons where we cover Abenaki history, making sure that we're covering the very first people who lived in our area. And something else that's happening quite a bit, I don't know how much longer Bruce is going to be able to do this, but Bruce Balding has been great doing gravestone cleanings with the students. I've been working with him now for 4 or 5 years, and he could tell you the exact number. I think he's cleaned over 500 veterans' gravestones. MBU students are not involved in all of that, but Bruce and I at least get together twice a year and have the students go out into a cemetery to clean veterans' gravestones. Something that I would love to be able to do is visit the old nuclear missile silo. The Chevalier family hasn't said yes yet, but I can be kind of persistent, maybe even to the point of annoying, asking again and again. But I think it would be neat for the students to understand a little bit of Cold War history as well. So I'll probably email the Chevaliers right after this meeting and say, hey, are you going to say yes yet?
Jason, excuse me, but where is this? I'm not familiar with it.
So in the 1960s, Plattsburgh Air Force Base wanted to defend Plattsburgh Air Force Base. And the idea was that there would be 8 nuclear missile silos that would defend it. So this is right down on Middle Road.
It's on the Middle Road.
So, and it's where Chevalier's road drilling is today. There was one in Alberg by the elementary school.
Yes.
And then there are another 6 in upstate New York. They did not complete all of the original design. They weren't sure if they were going to put one in Fairfield or one in Georgia. And then there was a speculation that one might go in the Lake Champlain Islands. But these missiles became outdated because the US actually put all of their nuclear missiles in submarines. They thought it would be better to have them mobile rather than in one location.
Okay, thank you.
And then I think I'm pretty close to my allotted time. So I'll go to some things that hopefully the Historical Society and NBU can do together. So I'm not a train guy, but the knowledge that train enthusiasts have is incredible. Swanton has a very neat train history, and there used to be a trolley system that would connect Swanton with St. Albans, and that trolley system would run right out here in front of the old bank building, right down Grand Avenue, and would go into St. Albans. And I would love, if the Historical Society is going to have the space, to have a model train system set up that would represent what the trolley used to look like. And, not to plug what I'm doing, but I can tell you, the student in the center of this photo was not an academic learner. For him to operate a train set and to see what a model train operated, or see how it operated, it brought a certain smile to his face. And I have to give Ron Kilburn credit. Ron did a lot to keep the Historical Society strong and healthy over the years. So. And then just a couple things to finish up. Some other things that MBU students are doing, which I think are pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do these outside activities this semester because part of the chemo I don't take cold as well as I used to. But just the idea that you get students outside and get them doing physical things. So the first settlers in Swanton, they brought apple trees with them. Apple trees are not native to North America. And the French settlers and the English settlers, they actually planted apple trees because they wanted to survive. They needed that as a food source. So this is an apple tree that's just off of MBU property. I fought for the budgetary item for MBU to have an apple pruner, and they said yes. So now, for the last couple of years, MBU students have been pruning this apple tree out back, and the objective is to get that apple tree producing better, bigger fruit over time. Again, I don't take the cold as well as I used to, but another thing that I asked for in the MBU budget was a flint and steel, or several flint and steels. So on cold winter days, I used to take students outside and see if they could start fires the old-fashioned way, not by using matches, but by using it the way that colonials, they didn't have matches. They would use flint and steel. Sometimes the students get irritated because they can't do it or they don't have enough experience doing it. But this is a group of students who, once I got the fire going, they asked, where's the marshmallows and where's the hot sauce? The apple assignment, sometimes I'll bring in apples, and as far as survival goes and as far as the way of life goes, there always wasn't a Hannaford's, right? Hannaford's, big chain grocery stores, that's a new thing. If you think back in the day, DeSorcy store may have been one of the bigger markets in an area, or the Franklin General Store used to be a big market, or Grandma and Grandpa used to dry all of their own fruit. So I'll bring a dehydrator in class, students will cut up the apples, the room smells great, really, really scent of apples, and the students will dry the fruit over a couple of days, and then they'll eat the fruit, and it's a way for them to experience what Grandma and Grandpa used to do generations ago. And then finish off with a little bit of Abenaki history. So this is called an atlatl. It's a Native American hunting tool that predates the bow and the arrow. The bow and the arrow is actually a new piece of technology. It's only about 1,000 years old here in North America. This hunting tool, if you think of a pitcher throwing a baseball, it just adds another joint. So we have shoulder, elbow, wrist. This is a stick, and the spear goes on the end of the stick, and they throw it like that. And this is a type of hunting tool that they would have hunted woolly mammoth with, deer, bear, moose. MBU students build some of these, go out, and when I was younger, I actually used to do quite well, but now I'm kind of average with the students. They do pretty well with it. So that kind of concludes my presentation, but I want to thank Joel for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jason.
Swanton's history is
wonderful.
More wonderful than any of us know. So,
yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Fascinating. Oh, well, we've learned a lot, or I have. You probably already knew everything Jason said, but you and Nick. Thank you, Jason. That was fantastic.
I would say for the rest of the meeting, but in order for me to save up those 6 days, I'm going to go home and rest.
Yeah, go home and get your rest. We're
Thank
so
you.
glad you're doing so much better. So next on the agenda, and this is very exciting too, and this was Joel's idea, is that we should use this gathering of our community to highlight the wonderful businesses that are now filling our Swanton downtown. And when we thought of the most wonderful, we couldn't help but think of P.E.G on Broadway, who has been here for 4 years now and is gaining ground exponentially with each passing year. And can't thank Darcy Benoit enough for her absolute devotion to getting this business going, to have it be one of the most beautiful and bright spaces in our downtown, and we now have many. But it takes someone like Darcy who's willing to put herself out there and take the risk of locating in our little downtown. And I wanted to welcome her tonight and have her answer just a couple of questions that our committee thought would be important. And one, and Darcy, you should stand, with your best supporter. We are so grateful to you both, but here is the question: why did you choose to locate in that space?
I'm stand right. Well, I didn't start out there. Actually, we started at home and moved over to First Street to the laundromats, the little itty bitty 400 square feet at the laundromat, and then moved over where we are now in COVID. Because I was sick of traveling to Burlington for my real job that I had for the last 14 years. And I love Swanton. We live here. This is home. And I was very discouraged to open a business here in Swanton by a number of folks. But I'm stubborn, so I chose here anyway.
And what helped you overcome that discouragement?
Pure stubbornness.
Yeah. Did you hear what she said? Sheer stubbornness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have been some of the surprises, the challenges, what was then, what's now?
As far as challenges, there's not a lot of help for a gift shop or something like our shop where we're a little unique. We're not the typical storefront. We make all our products in-house. There's nobody that I can go to and say, hey, how do I navigate this? Is there a permit I need for this? Is there, do I need any kind of regulations? Where do I go? Who do I ask? And there really wasn't anybody. So it was a lot of using my background at the law office to research where I wouldn't get in trouble.
And you're using the verb was. Is there now that person if a new business wanted to locate in our village or in our town?
I feel like now there's a few of us that'll help others navigate if they're unsure. I know a couple of the ones that have moved in have come to me and asked, well, at least who do I talk to? Who do I ask? Where do I go?
Mm-hmm.
And
So what do you tell them?
Well, I've told them what I did and who to contact, talk to the select boards, talk to the select board, trustee board.
Yeah.
That seems to be the best avenue.
Darcy's also taken on the work of trying to get a group of people, and Susie Kelleher has been so helpful with this too, who have that combination of the business and the administrative responsibilities for getting a business going. But at any rate, Darcy leads a committee of the SEP and reports to us, and Susie has generated the interest of a group of people that have town and village representatives, and as I understand it, work with businesses too.
We have a committee called Promote Swanton.
Yeah.
And we actually just met last night and just coming up with ideas of how we can promote the businesses that we have here, the recreation opportunities that we have here, and places to eat and stay. And so we were just been looking at how to do that. And also Earl Funyer's on the board, and Nicole Draper, and Suzanne Washburn has joined us, and so we've just been trying to get as many people. We've had the Chief Gagne has come to a few meetings. We've had Heather Lavoie from the Historical Society come to a few meetings. So we have people that pop in and out. But I mean, Abby Goddard's another one who's in it, and we're just trying to generate ideas on how we can not be a pass-through, but a destination.
And of course that fits in so well to the Swanton Enhancement Project beginnings and focus. And as I said before, so much of what's happening now is an offshoot of the groundwork that's been laid along the way. And I know Darcy mentioned when we were speaking about business this particular year, the bistro has made a tremendous difference in what happens in that area downtown, and that'll spill over.
Very much so.
We need a cluster of destinations.
When I first opened and the rest of that corner looked kind of shabby, people would come into the shop because I post on social media a lot, and Central Vermont folks would come up that we're friends with, Burlington folks would come up, and they'd say, what else can we do while we're here? And I would say, House of Pizza, and then go home. And now they can make their rounds. We have so many options, and people are coming here and sticking around and spending their money.
Thank you for everything that you've done and for hanging in there.
Yeah.
And it's the first business we've highlighted at our Swanton Enhancement Project meetings. Thank you for the idea, Jill. Okay, and then we get to, for those of you that haven't been here, we have a list of obviously tremendous organizations in our community that really keep things running and keep things going. And as much as possible, we get those representatives or those leaders with us to talk about what's been going on and what they're going to be doing perhaps in the next, month, year. At any rate, and so we'll just start that review. They're each gonna give you maybe 2 minutes of what's going on, 2 to 3 we gave them. We have Chris Dodd with us, representing basically the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. My office folks were teasing me today when I said 2 minutes. So, good luck we've never seen you do that, Chris. So, there were just a few things that I wanted to highlight tonight. First of all, I just want to say we had such an incredible experience last year with Bees on Broadway. All of our classrooms in the elementary school have a moniker. So all of our teachers pick a name and a theme for their classroom. And last year we had a classroom that was the honeybees. And I had the opportunity, as I often do, when a teacher needs to be out, to substitute in that classroom, and I love doing that. And on that day, we designed a whole day around honeybees and learning about honeybees, and we had Bees on Broadway come in and bring honeycomb and honey and equipment, and it was just, I think, really in the spirit of the community partnerships that you've been talking about, such a nice experience. So that the highlight of Bees on Broadway tonight just brought me back to that really nice experience. So I wanted to let folks know that we are really excited about a brand new reading program that we're implementing across the supervisory union this year. The American Reading Company was chosen. This is the first time that we've had a consistent reading program across all of our elementary schools, kindergarten through 6th grade, and that's really exciting for us. It really is a reading and writing program, and it's promoted a tremendous amount of consistency between not only our grade levels within our schools, but within all of our elementary schools. So we piloted this program last year. We were in the full implementation stage of the first year this year, and we're really celebrating a lot of exciting pieces. Like I said, that consistency between grade levels in schools, the connections between reading and writing. One of the pieces we really like about this program is that it's not one book that contains a number of different stories. It's a whole library and multiple libraries of real books, fiction, nonfiction, and they're just really beautiful, engaging stories for kids. And kids are really, really loving them. So we're very, very excited about that. Along with that, there's a lot of data collection around how students are doing and personalized goals for students. So the instruction that comes along with that reading is very much individualized and targeted, more so than it has been in the past, so that students are really getting what they need to meet their unique needs. So we're very excited about that across the district. I wanted to mention the upcoming proposed budget that we've been working on. Of course, like many municipalities, the budget work really starts almost a year in advance, and the preparation of the proposed budget will draw to a close relatively soon. It started way back in September and October, but I wanted to let folks know that there will be an input meeting at 6 p.m. on January 14th in the MVU library. And that's a meeting for the board to gather more community feedback prior to the board adopting a budget. So again, that's at 6 o'clock on January 14th. And that's before the proposed budget gets adopted. And after that, there will be an informational meeting on February 11th at 7 o'clock at MVU. And that's an informational meeting after the board has accepted the proposed budget. So those two meetings are upcoming. There will be lots of publicity about those dates. They'll be on our website and our calendars and so on. So if you don't recall them at the moment, you can always reference them there. Those will be great opportunities to learn more about the budget. We're working on a number of informational materials, brief videos and such that highlight the different pieces of the budget this year. So all of that is forthcoming. I wanted to let folks know that in Swanton specifically, we are working on our continuous improvement plan. Every school in Vermont is required to have a continuous improvement plan. And in Swanton, we have 3 pillars to our plan, and they are having a safe and healthy school, rigorous academics, and attendance, truancy, and engagement. And those are the 3 pillars of our continuous improvement plan. We have a brand new leadership team at our school this year that has very broad representation across all of the different types of staff members, support staff, classroom teachers, administration, and others. And we have subgroups for each one of these 3 pillars. And each group is working on individual projects to address one of those key components. And so that's very exciting work that we'll be rolling out in the very near future and monitoring and really keeping that continuous improvement plan alive. We're also working with a consultant by the name of Sarah Ward to work on executive functioning skills this year, school-wide. Executive functioning skills are a set of cognitive skills that really help students organize and follow through, plan, organize, follow through on tasks. And we noticed, particularly post-COVID, that those skills were skills that were lagging across the board with many students. So we've taken a step back. We are working across the board with students to help really kind of regain some of those skills that we've noticed are needing some support right now. So from my colleague Yeshua, the principal at Highgate, Yeshua wanted me to report out and let folks know that they are also working with a lot of community partners. There's a new library director, Christine Watson, that's been welcomed to the Highgate Library and Community Center. That's been very exciting for their community at Highgate. And the Highgate Library and Community Center and the Recreation Department and the town administrator, the elementary school are all connected, and they're planning activities during the winter months together for students. So they're very excited about that collaboration. They're also working on their budget to help support the curriculum and the new math and reading pieces similar to the reading that I talked about, and the math curriculum that Yeshua references here is also a district-wide math curriculum that was rolled out last year for full implementation. So we're very excited across Missisquoi Valley School District to have consistent math and reading, writing curriculums in all of our schools that are the same. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Joyce, my colleague in Franklin, wanted me to let folks know that they are doing a lot of focusing this year on mathematics with one of their experts, Christian Quartermash, and they are working on problem solving and taking kind of a 3-step approach to problem solving called the 3-act task. That's working with each teacher on engaging with different types of math problems, thinking about the story of the math problem, what it's all about, and they're working with those executive functioning skills as well to help students plan for that type of problem solving, engaging with the solution, really applying those mathematical skills to real life problems. Part of that new math curriculum that we're using really has brought a new level of relevance of mathematics to students. We really wanted to make strong connections between the math that we're teaching in the classroom and what's going to be relevant to students out there in the real world. So that's something that Joyce is working on at Franklin. And so they are working on those in class and making lots of home connections as well, with specific skills practice for students to improve their, not only the operational fluency of math, but the connections to the real world. And last but not least, my colleagues at MVU wanted me to report out that they're working with the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation to streamline their post-high school and secondary learning for students. So in April, MVU, along with other Franklin County schools and the Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation, will host an apprenticeship fair to expose students to local employment opportunities. There's been a lot of focus over the past couple of years, particularly on working with employers in our own region and our own community to really dial in the education that we're providing to students, making sure that it's meeting the needs of the employers in our community so that we can encourage the students that we are graduating from our system to stay in our community, be gainfully employed in our community, and create a good match between the skills that our students have and the needs that our employers have in the community. And that's a conversation that we're having as an ongoing conversation across all of our schools. So over 40 local businesses will be in attendance to provide information to students at this fair, and our 8th and 9th grade students will continue to be exposed to Vermont colleges and universities with trips this spring. That's another piece that's really exciting work for those folks, thinking again about what skills they need and how they get those skills, not only for students who would necessarily be college bound, but what are all of the ways that you can continue to further your education and gain skills that will support you in employment after high school.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Absolutely.
His staff was right. It was a little longer. However, it's like he gave the reports of 5 people.
That's
so
right.
I think there's a pass.
So I should
there.
have 15 minutes.
That's it, yeah, exactly.
For the record, Betsy would have put you on the clock at 2 minutes and just read.
It's true.
Well, you only have one village, and you only have one town. So, but next we're going to Marie. Can you tell us what's going on at the Arts Council, or is someone else here to do that?
I have the
Oh,
update.
Abby's here. She's
I
a
snuck in, sorry.
She's a multi-reporter.
I
as
am.
well.
So Swanton Arts Council is turning 10 next month.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a birthday party on March 16th. I don't really know any of the other details to that. Do you know anything more on that? Okay, that's what we've got for now. We're also going to be partnering with Northwest Solid Waste District and the library to do an upcycled art show and some upcycled art classes as well. There's going to be 2 community showings of the award-winning Swanee series, Friday, March 28th and Saturday, March 29th, and guest speakers to share inside of the filming of those movies. That's going to be held at the library. We have received a $5,000 free art grant again this year. People interested in hosting those classes can email the Arts Council. And that's it for the Arts Council.
And that's it for the Arts Council. Would you like to do the library while you're
I
speaking?
would love to, sure, yeah. So the library is doing a lot of camp prep right now. That's our main thing that we focus on in January, and Harry Potter Night. We're getting ready for Harry Potter Night and summer camps and fundraising for those 2 events. That's our big January push.
Okay.
And we're also going to take a day next week where the library is going to be closed, and we're going to do a big staff training day. We have like people coming in to do different presentations and things, so we're really excited about that as well.
Great, great. Well, things are always busy in your world.
Yes,
Abby,
they are.
we know that. Thank you so much. Okay, then, next, is anyone reporting for Nicole about recreation?
I know that she has Baseball signups are now open, and she's also doing a lot of work on summer camps and finding grants and things for those right now.
Okay.
I would like to put a plug out for their skating rink.
Yes,
Because they
beautiful
delivered a warming hut
Yes.
to make it much more enjoyable. So if people don't go there because it's cold, well, now they've got a reason to be able to put their skates
Yes,
on
and the
inside
ice
the
is
building. And,
Oh, fun.
yeah.
TDI donated the beautiful warming hut, and then I believe Brendan Kelly is donating heaters for the warming hut
Yeah,
as
they
well.
got 220 power out there and they're gonna have a heater in there, so use the skating rink, folks. They
Nice.
put a lot of work into it.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, very nice. Excellent. Okay, next on the list, and Nick, do you want to say anything in addition about the Historical Society?
Yeah, though, one thing he didn't mention is Fred Wiseman is doing presentations at the Historical Society again, so it should be monthly. So if you see it on the internet, one coming up, feel free to comment and enjoy a presentation.
Are all these dates going on the town website?
They have to submit them
Right.
to Christina so she can put them in. But if they submit them through the website, then they'll be on the calendar.
And they get posted on the website under news and the calendar.
Because as you can tell, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to keep track of, and this is only January.
I have a question for Nick. Is there fundraising going on for acquiring the building?
Yes, Heather is doing her buy a brick fundraiser, which you would need to contact her about, but it's I don't think it's been officially promoted a lot, but it's definitely happening.
Okay.
What building is that?
The new insurance, the
okay,
insurance
okay.
building that would be their new office.
Who
Heather?
owns it?
David
Yes.
Horton.
David Horton does, but
tax
it's a
records.
matter of signing the paperwork.
Public.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll
It's
have
got such a history to it.
When you said Heather.
Lavoy.
Lavoy, Heather Lavoy.
Okay, there are a few Heathers in town.
Also, I could give an update for the chamber too.
Okay,
Basically,
why don't you go
the big
ahead.
thing, big upcoming event is the Swanton Citizen of the Year. We're gonna be holding a dinner probably in February for it. Do you know if nominations are still open for, I don't even
I
know.
believe they're open until the end of the month.
Okay, so they're still open, so feel free to submit a nomination for it. There's a Google form and you can get it off the Swanton Chamber Facebook page.
Okay, all right.
Excuse me, what's the plan for the chamber building, the little chamber information building? Is that going to be open?
It's closed during the winter time.
No, I understand that, but in the summer months, is that being manned at all?
During the week, Monday
Yeah.
through Thursday, it's
Adam
open.
Paxman is usually there.
And that Adam is?
Yeah,
Okay.
Monday through Thursday.
Okay. So we can get somebody on a weekend.
Great, and whoever put this agenda together, and it was I. It says that Bria Savage is
Oh.
going to present the town report. So, Brian, thank you.
I'll be pretty quick here. Since the last meeting that we gave a report at, there's been some changes. Select Board member Cody Hemingway had tendered his resignation this past fall. The Select Board appointed Brendan Long as the his replacement until the next town meeting, and then there will be an election for the remaining term of Cody's. We have a new town health officer. Susie Kelleher is now the town health officer, and the and as well, Christina was hired a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, as the administrative assistant for basically myself as well as the zoning administrator. But she stepped in and it can work and assist everybody in the town office without limitation. And so I'm pleased to announce that at their meeting on December 17th, Christina is now the assistant town administrator.
Oh,
The zoning bylaws, the public hearing are going to be coming up with the planning commission. The planning commission has been rewriting those zoning bylaws. It's been an ongoing process. They'll have a public hearing, and then it goes to the select board, who will have a public hearing. Target date for implementation is probably around April. It's going to hopefully make the process smoother and easier. The 4th Street property, it needs further testing, according to the engineers. Joel has been working with the engineers on that. They have submitted a test plan to the state for approval. Our budgets are all being worked on. It's going to soon be finalized. There's a lot of parts that all have to come in. We go through this every year, and but anyways, we're coasting along on that the best we can. In late October, we had a little problem at the town office. A drain pipe in our kitchen broke. We don't know how long it was broke. This is in a crawl space under there. We are talking a building that's 200 years old or almost. Did substantial damage to the floor. So basically we had to move the clerk's office into the boardroom. Repairs were done. It cost about $18,000, but we just had to pay the deductible to the insurance company of $1,000. So we got out of that pretty good. Some other projects coming up. We've been working on these. Joel, as the road commissioner, has been instrumental in working on the storm drain situation on Brooklyn Street. That's still being worked on. We're going to be doing some improvements to insulate the attic at the library. There's the Swanton Hill. We're going to be cutting down and blasting to make that hill at the Swanton Hill lower and easier to navigate. Barry Road culvert needs to be replaced, but that's no small culvert. It's quite a major undertaking. And those roads are, if nobody knows where those are, they're in the extreme north eastern part of the town. You can't get there from here, literally. And the Welcome to Swanton signs are also being going to be revamped, and we've got some requests for proposals out there for some artwork to be done on them. So hopefully that'll get rolling along pretty well. And soon, the new town dump truck has been on order for 2 years. It's going to be delivered very soon.
That's a good way to put it, very soon.
Very soon.
I think there's a church hymn, even soon and very soon, we're gonna see.
Right, where exactly is French Hill?
Well, you know where French Hill is.
Yeah.
Okay, go all the way to the end of the French Hill Road and you come to a T intersection. That's Swanton Hill Road. Take a left and you're going to hit the Swanton Hill.
Oh, for heaven's
That
sake.
needs to actually connect back to, around to the pond and so on, but it turned into a class 4 road, it doesn't go that far.
As I said, you can't get there.
Can't get there.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
A lot going on. Bill Sheets, I'm not gonna give you any slack like this.
2 minutes?
Come
on, Joel. 3, 2, 1, you're only 2 minutes.
This is painful.
It's the harassment.
The state of the village is strong. I think most people know our structure. 42 full-time employees, 8 part-time, 24 volunteer firefighters, 1 vacancy in the police department. So incredible difficulty filling that for a number of reasons. It's an incredibly tough profession right now. 2 minutes to talk about everything we got going on in those 8 different departments. We'll just walk you through town and the project. So wastewater, we have 12 months remaining in a 17-month project, roughly $8 million. And that's to a much needed overhaul of all things wastewater related. One thing we did this year, first time in 3 years, is we land applied our dewatered sludge. So it's a fancy way of saying we take care of your poo by land applying it on our property up on Woods Hill Road. We own 96 acres. By doing that internally and not hauling it off to landfill out of state for the 250 tons we just land applied, saves us about $80,000. And we do that every few years. Working our way down this way, Foundry Street, we put a new water line in, so we don't have to rely on the water line that's on the bridge. That is done, complete, on time, and with the magic funding formula of loan forgiveness and various things on budget. We fixed the bridge this year in 15 days instead of 20. I know it was painful and the traffic problems were not fun to deal with, but that is done until we have to deal with it all again in 2029 when the bridge is due to be replaced. And sadly, that bridge is owned by the village unless the town wants to take it over.
Yeah, $1.
$1, all free. All the downtown stuff we got going on, we'll really start to see it pay dividends next year. So we have a $300,000 grant with a $75,000 match for various traffic safeties, pedestrians, safety on Merchants Row. We bought the parking lot at 74 Merchants Row. We have a $25,000 engineering study to look for grant funding to expand that for 25 parking spots. Just received a $175,000 grant, 5% match for 2 level 3 fast chargers for that location. The whole point, get people downtown, go to Darcy's shop, grab a bite to eat, plug in, be fully charged in half an hour. We got a $23,000 grant with match for the back side of Church Street. And then we've just applied for a $600,000 grant with a $150K match for in front of you on Canada Street to fix that. My time's probably pretty close, but police department, incredibly busy. I love to say that there's no need for a police department, there's no crime. The search warrants are fast and furious right now. So whether we want to acknowledge it or not, I think we do, and we're addressing it aggressively, whether it's the village or the town. Significant number of search warrants for people here that are dealing drugs, guns, etc. That's been an ongoing event. Got to talk about the hydro real quick. We're in the middle of our FERC relicensing and 401 Run a River certification with the state of Vermont. It's an onerous process. It's ongoing, but we produce 70 to 80% of our own power for our citizens, the 3,800 customers we have, which means we are very close based on Orleans and Ludlow raising their rates. We're soon to be the #1 lowest rate in the state of Vermont.
There's a recruiting tool.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Is that it?
It's got to be.
God, no.
'Cause I can-
There's more, but
there's
you
more,
can go
but
on and on. We have
I could
little
go on and
projects
on and I'll
going
just get picked on.
Well, thank you, and thanks to both the town and the village for your support of everyone's activity in this room, and we appreciate that $1,500 that comes SEP's way to promote the work of bringing the community together. So thank you very, very much.
I could have mentioned the Hotel Riv property, but I didn't want Neil's head to explode.
I was watching it when it showed up right
Yeah, I was too.
Huh.
Is there a plan for that program?
Tremendous
There-
opportunity.
so there is.
Bring it up.
There is.
As long as you brought it
Actually,
up, you brought it up.
I
so
did.
I'm gonna follow up.
I appreciate that. It's a worthwhile conversation. So we put out a request for proposal for bids, interested vendors, nonprofit or otherwise.
We got one.
Private entities, we got one. So there is a significant amount of brownfields remediation that needs to be done. And we are working with anybody that remains interested in developing the property for some form of housing, whatever could fit there. It's 0.6 of an acre.
Has to go up.
But there's a lot, I might be speaking on old information, is there not a lot of state and federal assistance for brownfields remediation?
There is. They've been generous so far. Generally, they're very, very good on the front end. And then when you have to actually remove that, it's on you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Well-
further, excuse me, I'm not elected official, so I can speak my piece here. And the further
I shouldn't have
the
booked
state gets involved, the further they go with the brownfields, the more they find, so it's an ongoing process. When they first did the assessment on the Riviera Hotel property, it was minimal, and now it's maximum. So good luck.
And Molly, you'd asked about funding on that. There is some funding for public entities.
Right.
Private entities, zero to none. So
But
there's a
doesn't
big
the
difference.
public own the property right now?
We do now, and that's why it was bought, was because the public, the village had the ability to enter into these programs to mediate versus had it been sold to Sean or Sean's client, he would not have had the opportunity
Correct.
to, yeah.
The only interested folks at this point are Habitat. They're also nonprofit. They're eligible for the same funding that we are. But it really does prevent anyone else from getting in the game.
Yeah. The village
We'll
100%
talk-
did the
we'll
right thing in
talk-
buying
we'll-
that property.
we'll talk
It was the
offline.
best move for everybody.
Yeah, we'll talk offline.
But it's still very much available.
Well, yeah, but you gotta be able to present to any private developer that that's how it's gonna be
Yep.
mitigated, how that cost is gonna be mitigated. And of course, you don't wanna put housing on a brownfield that needs to be remediated. So, anyway, it's all good. We're just, okay. Well, it seems appropriate.
Aren't you glad you brought that up, Bill?
I am actually, because it's good to talk about.
Molly, one thing we all agree on, it looks better than it did.
Amen.
Oh, absolutely.
Correct, that's right.
I say thank you every time I turn the corner. And it seems appropriate that we move right from brownfield remediation to the beautification. And Susie and I
Hank.
don't know.
Yeah, no, Hank and I would like to thank the many volunteers, Swanton, Select Board and the village trustees for the donation of their time and money in supporting Swanton beautification. Our downtown has never looked so robust and inviting. So in 2024, we as a committee have accomplished the following. We created a new garden at the town office building. We erected and planted window boxes at the village office building. We expanded plantings in Veterans Park. We expanded the garden at the Swanton Library. We doubled the number of hanging baskets on Grand Avenue to 12. We created a small garden at Merchants Row Laundromat. And we planted 10 trees along the street in the Greenway on Canada. And our activities for 2025, our plans are, we're gonna do some landscaping near a art project that's going over by the VFW. We have put in for the Vermont Urban and Community Forestry Program grant to be able to plant 100 trees. 100 trees?
Approximately.
Approximately 100 trees along our streets and in our parks. And we are currently doing a fundraising initiative selling bulbs through Flower Power Fundraising, which is a part of Holland Bulbs. And we are going to be getting out direct letters to our donors and local businesses. So we welcome volunteers to join us in our efforts to help beautify our community. And we're perhaps only looking for an hour or two of your time, and thoughts and ideas are always welcome. Thank you.
It's just wonderful. Thank you. And so, Crystal, I know that your committee has
evolved.
but you've been very well positioned. And this is for the Healthy Communities Substance Use and Misuse Committee. But do you have any comments that you might want to make about, not the committee, but about the what you've
the
seen
issue
in
in
your
general?
new role? Franklin County Caring Communities, some of you may not know, is no longer. And that's where Crystal worked her magic. And now she's working her magic
So I work for the St. Albans Police Department, and in that role, I am working with Swanton Police Department, Milton Police Department, Franklin County Sheriff's Department, St. Albans Police Department, obviously, and then all of the fire and EMS agencies in Franklin County and Milton. So when Mr. Sheets was talking about the, the search warrants coming fast and furious, the officers are doing wonderful things, and a lot of it is not brought to the forefront because they are active investigations. I can tell you, sitting behind the desk, that it takes a lot of work. There is a lot that's happening within the community that people may not see. There's a lot of trickle over effect. So if you've driven through St. Albans, not so much as winter sets in because people tend to be inside, but in the summer months, if you've driven through St. Albans, you've seen active substance use occurring on the library steps. It was occurring on my office steps. I was in the Congregational Church, and it was happening right there. We had a preschool that sits right behind there, a daycare preschool setting. Abby's little guy goes there. And it became quite concerning that our youth were seeing this active and open use. And, it becomes part of the community norm when they're seeing it happen in the open. So the work that we're doing at Caring Communities, so we have closed our office space. We don't have any paid employees, but I'm a volunteer. So I'm kind of the sole volunteer right now. And I have a couple board members, and we're still plugging away doing the work. Thanks to some grant funding from the opiate settlement funding, we're working with NCSS to try to bring the Screenagers docu-series that we had talked about before. The goal is to bring that to the Swanton area and have a facilitated discussion with a psychiatrist or psychologist from NCSS leading that facilitated discussion on how screens impact our young people. I think Mr. Dodge can probably attest to the fact that COVID did a couple of things for us, right? So COVID showed us that we didn't have to be in person to do learning, but it was also really detrimental to our kids because they forgot how to communicate effectively. That social emotional learning really got interrupted by not being in person in class. But it did broaden things for some kids. So the opportunity for some kids to do virtual online learning was a much better place for them to be than in a physical classroom. I think Mr. Barney's presentation really showed how that outdoor experiential learning was really beneficial for some students. So COVID had its negatives and its positives. So the work is still actively happening. It is so important, vitally important to support things like the Swanton Recreation programs, Abby's amazing programs at the library. My little guys, when they heard Harry Potter Night was happening, sign us up, Mom. And it's also really important to support things like Crossroads After School Learning Center. The Crossroads After School programs are safe places for kids to be when they may otherwise find themselves as latchkey kids, or maybe taking care of younger siblings, or in a time where they might become more tempted to experiment. So it is vitally important to support those types of programs. And I'm just going to put a little plug. Crossroads is actively looking for volunteers and paid staff right now. They sadly just lost one of their staff members who passed away last week, and then another one moved away to different employment. So that took out 2 programs for kids. So those types of programs are so super important. Please support them. If you know anyone that's looking for part-time work, send them to Molly Hartman Lontine. She's the Swanton Crossroads Program Director.
I have one piggyback to that.
Go for it.
I forgot to mention that the library also has a teen program on Fridays now from 3 to 5. It's like a drop-in program. There we have our maker spaces up and running now. We have a 3D printer, we have a sewing machine, we have a Cricut, we have all these things, and kids can just come and hang out and be, read books obviously, but you don't have to. So that's a great opportunity for teens in this area that
Have you
sometimes are
had good participation, Abby?
No. Well, no. Yes and no. They had teen nights where
teen nights
will bring in 40 kids.
Oh. Teen nights have had, but this other teen event hasn't taken off yet.
Okay.
I think I'm trying to work with the school right now about having a field trip where kids can come see the space, because I think they have like a vision of the library in their head that's not what the library is now. And I think if they could come and see all the work that's been put into that space, they would want to be there.
Yeah, I think once Nicole and Abby just kind of reel them in, we're gonna find a lot of use happening. You know, the programs that were happening at Swanton Rec were a perfect example. Kids that wanted to be someplace were willing to hang out in a garage, essentially, you know? And kids were showing up consistently, you know, 30 and 40 kids.
Thank you, thank you. That was really wonderful to get that perspective. So Darcy, do you feel that we've done our speaking about community and economic development, or are there
No, I
some?
think we're good. Susie and I worked together. Thank God for Susie. She took the lead on our Promote Swanton, which is kind of where this started from.
Great.
So I think it's in progress.
And so you two are the liaison for this group, and you know, when you're brainstorming with your committee, and maybe we should just rename it, the partner of the Swanton, Promote Swanton
The
Committee.
ladies of downtown Swanton.
Right, that's it.
The ladies are the ones that run all the businesses down there now.
Most of them. True.
Well, at any rate, yeah.
Gordon's gonna take a fest.
Thank you.
I
Thank
won't
you,
tell
Lord,
Gordon.
for all you do. Quickly, because I want it to reflect in the minutes that we adjourn at the reasonable time. Other business that people would like to bring up.
Can I please just say and share with everybody, anything you want on the website, send to me. Please,
All right.
it is a huge problem. Everybody wants something on there, but nobody sends it.
And we're trying to compile a calendar of
Yes,
events
redesign
that
it a
are
little bit.
coming. We're also redesigning the website as part of Promote Swanton, just to piggyback off what she's saying. And so it'd be nice to get your events to Christina either via the website or email. And that way we can have all of our events in one spot.
It's a really, really great thing to do. And as I heard somebody say yesterday when they were trying to get their kid to be in charge of their own schedule, Godspeed. That would be a wonderful
Fair winds and
thing.
following seas.
Hey Molly, Sean Cheney, just to build off what Brian had brought up earlier in his report, many of us may not realize how crucial that town plan rewrite is for our community. It's massive, and so for those of us that were a part of that original Economic Development Committee, yourself, Hank, Neil, Brian, and others that really put a lot of energy into this, 5, 10, 15 years ago. That town plan doesn't get just written and rewritten and changed right now. What we do right now is gonna be a decade plus, and it won't show for another few years after this. So, many of us have a tendency to go and yell at the development review board for everything that we don't like. I've heard of it happening at least, but really the planning board is where that all lies. And the town decided to spend, a pretty good chunk of change on Corey Parent to help rewrite that. And I promise you that will be worth every penny and some when the time comes, because they're really scaling back a lot of the requirements right now. And you brought up a term earlier, which I'm gonna kind of point out, was we need a cluster of that in the downtown. Our current plan does not allow a cluster of anything anywhere. It just is very archaic compared to what we really truly have in the downtown. And although things are heading in the right direction right now, and we're at the 11th hour, we're not early in this. They've been working on this for over a year now. And I know that there's gonna be a joint meeting coming up, I believe it's on the 22nd. Correct. For for the planning board and the town select board to
And the trustees.
The trustees are also involved, but there's gonna be a community meeting on those boards to go over that. And I know that some of the things they're looking at right now is actually making it a little bit more liberal than it already is. And that is gonna be huge for us. I watch people's hopes and dreams get crushed on a regular basis when they look at buying a property, and I wanna do this with this property until they go to the zoning administrator and go, yeah, you can't do any of that there. And they're completely done. So please, I guess to put a caboose on the end of this train of thought, please get to your planning board if you have things that you want to get to them. They need to hear case studies like the gun store next to Briette's that cannot expand. They are at their max right now. If you just take a drive by that sometime, look what they've got. It's a little building with a little driveway, and they are maxed out. He cannot expand on that building with our current town plan. So that just gives you a case study on something. Things like the restaurant down there, the bakery, the only reason we're allowed to have them right now is because they were existing spaces.
That's right.
We would never be able to do what they're doing down there with that downtown with our current plan. So please talk to people like Ross Lavoie, Oliver Manning and others that are in those seats, and try to, if you need to talk to your select board and your trustees, and really try to do what we can, because we're talking years and years, and we're right on the 11th hour now. If there's any little tweaks we can do, I'd love to see it. But this is gonna set the tone for the next decade plus for people like all the great that's being done right now. We do it now.
Yeah.
So.
January 22nd, is that
It's at
what
the-
I heard?
5:30.
5:30.
The village.
At the village.
At the
The
village.
complex, yeah.
Okay.
And then I just have one thing. So I'm doing, I'm gonna do the block party again this year as part of the Promote Swanton. Now we're gonna throw it, instead of it just being like a trustee, Susie Kelleher trustee wants to do this really fun thing, it's a Promote Swanton item. And I'm hoping that I could get the set to do the bounce house again.
Ah,
So if we
Well-
could put that before the board, just you guys.
yeah,
and
all we
let me
need
know.
is just a little written request, and then we can get it out
Will
to
do.
the people.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
if
we'll
they
do that.
approve, Joel
So,
wrote
yeah,
the
so we're gonna
check.
do, the block party is gonna be the 25th of July from, 5:30 to 9:30, or
Yeah.
7:30,
Yeah,
something like that.
great, just a little
A little, little blurb.
purpose thing, so it shows up on the records of the organization that Joel's not writing checks without permission. We wouldn't want that.
We wouldn't want
We wouldn't want that.
With that being said, oh, Abby has another
I just
thing.
want to put a little plug for the Abenaki. They've got a ton of stuff going on at their building right now. They're having a renovation done very soon, and they have so many classes and activities going on there, and they're open to anybody. You don't have to be Abenaki, anybody can come. We're doing a spaghetti dinner on March 29th, is that the right date?
29th,
Thank you.
great.
To raise money for powwow. Last year, we had almost 1,400 people come to powwow. It was a huge event for this community.
Also, we're looking for donations.
Looking for donations for
For Heritage Fest.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in any of those things, you can reach out to Susie or I or Chief Gagne. And I also know that they're looking for volunteers for the food shelf as well.
We had 900 from the food shelf in December.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
and
I'm
we-
going 900.
Yeah, and we're in desperate need of volunteers and goods.
And goods.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, they were serving maybe 250 individual persons on a good month. So we're talking 4 years later and serving 900 individual persons. That is an incredible.
There's a constant flow.
So you
Constant
get in touch with Chief Gagne if you want to volunteer.
Yeah, if you want to be volunteer, call the tribal building. It's open Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 to 2. And Brenda will hook you up.
Okay. I didn't have, I had Chief Gagne's information on the distribution, not Debbie's.
Yeah, because Debbie, she just comes in and does the books now, so she's not working there full time anymore.
Okay.
She's working for Goss.
Okay.
And so she's.
So that's the right.
Yeah, it's
person
Brenda.
Yeah,
to connect
Chief
with.
Gagne, yep.
Yeah, okay, great.
On that
If
I could,
Oh,
I would like to make a motion to donate $200 to the food shelf, Abenaki food shelf. Because when you look at the amount of money we have, we could send a couple $100
Yeah.
over there. What they're doing
That
is
would
just,
make a difference.
it's just amazing.
I second the motion.
Who's second? Nick? Any further discussion of that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, $200 to the food shop. You can write that.
I can
check.
write that and it'll be in the minutes of. Write the check for it.
There you go. There you go. So then, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. So glad to see so many faces we haven't seen before.
So.